Now, we do continue to follow this decision by the Colorado Supreme Court removing President Trump from that state's primary ballot for now. It's a decision that likely ends up before the U.S. Supreme Court. That's why we say for now. So let's get a little perspective on it from the Republican National Committee, spokesperson Madison Gilbert, who's live with us today. And Madison, it's good to see you again. What is the RNC take on all of this? Prepared to use the full resources of the party to defend President Trump?
Yeah, good to be with you. We're absolutely furious. I mean, this is election interference at its finest. We dealt with similar things in both Minnesota and Michigan. However, we were successful very early on in filing amicus briefs and being supportive of the president on those cases. When it comes to Colorado, we're very confident that the Supreme Court of the United States will reverse what the Colorado Supreme Court did. Obviously, what many people don't realize is that this was a split ruling, even among 7 Democrats that were all appointed by Democrats onto that Supreme Court in Colorado. So this was a 4-3 decision. I do not anticipate it will stand. However, it is interfering with the election in Colorado. We need voters to decide who wins that primary and who defeats Joe Biden ultimately next November, and Colorado's interfering with that. So we have full support behind President Trump. They will appeal, and we will be filing a brief to support them in this.
What about the concern that this spreads? Because if it doesn't go your way, say in the Supreme Court, we were talking about this earlier, then obviously the other states where they have similar measures like this being considered are going to be piling on, and this could have a huge impact on the race, potentially. I know a lot of people are predicting it to be overturned, but I'm sure that's why you're saying you're being so aggressive on it.
Well, I think it will go our way. I'm very, very confident of that. You look at the 14th Amendment, you look at Section 3, and you look at a post-Civil War thing that had been used, back 150 years ago, not appropriately used in Colorado. Obviously, Minnesota and Michigan, as I mentioned, were overturned when that was addressed. And I think the Supreme Court will side with what happened in Minnesota and Michigan. And you look at, even on CNN, people who formerly worked for President Obama, legal experts and scholars, that were hesitant to be too excited about this and hesitant to say this was a good thing, because I think people on both sides of the aisle are recognizing that this was a wrong decision.
Yeah, there's the legal side of it, and then there is the political side. And I understand that some people in the Trump camp seem to think that this actually could be a political gift. I've heard that word used. In other words, it could fire up his supporters and actually help him in the short term politically. But at the same time, people like you come on shows like this and you're asked about these topics. President Biden was asked earlier today, for example, is President Trump a, quote, insurrectionist? So it brings up that topic, and it's something now that has to be talked about, would have been anyway in a general campaign, given the president's history. But here's President Biden, the current president, earlier today. Let's listen.
Is Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly they're self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero.
So what do you say about that? Because in theory, or I guess in practice, what he's saying is similar to what you're saying. He's going to let the courts decide, but then goes the extra step to say that what they talked about here means that is something he agrees with, that the president is a quote-unquote insurrectionist, the former president. What do you say?
Yeah, hypocritical as always. He says, let the courts decide, but then goes on to make a decision himself. Half the time he doesn't know where he is, who he is, and doesn't know how to get off a stage. He's a terrible president. Americans have suffered across the country as a result. And I think that they will be held accountable, the administration, next November, as the voters decide who will be the next president of the United States. And I am assuming at this point that it will be a Republican. He's failed on every single issue. And when it comes, going back to election integrity, the RNC is completely devoted to election integrity this cycle in 8 states, very important states across the country. We already have election integrity directors. We're going to have 15 very soon. We're involved in 72 cases of litigation. Right. And on top of that, we continue to get involved in other ways to make sure that we can hold Democrats accountable on the ground before we even have to get to a litigation or to a lawsuit. And so we're working on purging voter rolls across the country. We want everybody's vote to count and people to make sure that their voices can be heard.
As the final quick point, Madison, I understand completely the position of the RNC in defending this particular issue and the arguments that you laid out for doing so. But what about defending the former president politically again? Not a legal question this week. If he is the nominee, as you know, when we were in Alabama, I think I asked you this. I certainly asked Ronna McDaniel this. Would the RNC support President Trump as the nominee no matter what, even if he was a convicted felon? What about with his comments this week on immigrants, talking about immigrants poisoning the blood of our country? Is that the type of commentary that the party will support if indeed President Trump is its nominee? Can you make the argument for that person to be your nominee and the president again?
We'll be letting the voters decide. That's our role as the party. Once we get out of the primary process, whoever our nominee is, and if that is President Trump, we'll be fully behind them. As a party, we lay the road, we lay the infrastructure to help our candidates be successful, to help them get across the finish line. So in November, we will make sure that whoever our nominee is gets across that finish line, beats Biden, because at the end of the day, this is about the American people. This is about making their lives better. This is about alleviating the struggles that they've dealt with now for almost 3 years under a failure of an administration, under Joe Biden, which was basically a third term of Obama's administration, which was also a disaster.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.